Maisie, my heroine, is a 12-year-old girl, and she's a very tough, brave, smart little girl. And what happens to her is what happens to every teenage girl at a certain point. That is, her body develops, she grows breasts, and her best friends are boys whose bodies are developing in very different ways. So suddenly these very close relationships that have existed since Maisie was a very little child have suddenly been changed by the fact that the girls and the boys are developing in different ways. And the way that it works out for Maisie is that at least two of her three best friends, boys, become estranged from her in a way, and something happens. Something happens in the back of the school bus regarding her body touching, inappropriate touching. She tells a story about what happens. She knows what happened to her. As things progress, she begins to tell a slightly different story until she herself comes to believe the different story that she's been telling. And by the end of the novel, she's forced to realize some very painful things about truth, about honesty, about loyalty, about betrayal, about what it means to grow up, about what it means to have friendships and close relationships, about what it means to live in a community. And these are all very difficult lessons, but they're things that Maisie learns. You know, never having been a boy, I don't know exactly what that's like, but I know that it's very difficult for girls to suddenly to turn into women or very young women. And of course, there's been so much research done on what happens to girls between the ages of 11, say, and 15, and girls who'd been completely confident and forthright and sure of their place in the world suddenly grow into creatures who say, I don't know, I'm not sure, maybe this happened, much less confident. And certainly, it's not exactly that that's what happens to Maisie. Maisie is trying to hold on to the confidence and the assurance that she had as a very young person as she grows into an older young girl. I would like the readers of Touch to come away with all sorts of things. I mean, just for starters, the idea that even though your friends, girls and boys that were your friends when you were kids, have different bodies than they did 3 or 4 years ago, they're still the same people underneath. So there's no reason to treat them as completely alien human beings just because suddenly their bodies seem different. And beyond that, again, to talk about the importance of the truth, the importance of realizing what could happen if you say something that's not true, and the importance of being courageous, no matter what it means, to stand up for yourself and stand up for the people to whom you're loyal, and have that nerve to be a conscious human being.